Welcome to our fall semester of the Conejo Jewish Academy. Welcome to our Wednesday afternoon Torah study group, formerly known as the Lunch and Learn study group. But unfortunately, Zoom has not figured out a way of how we can Zoom lunch over to you. So until we're able to get back together again, we're going to call it the Wednesday afternoon Torah study group. When we are able to get back together again, for those of you that are now following this class from all over the world, we will continue with it on Zoom as well. So you'll be able to either study live together with us or on Zoom. It will be a new feature that we will continue from now to all eternity, or whenever we finish the 5 books of Moses, whichever comes first. It's been 30 years, a 30-year journey that has taken us from the book of Genesis, making our way through the book of Deuteronomy. And we're only in the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy, so we definitely have at least another decade to go. But we are in no rush. We get together every Wednesday afternoon at 12:30. We delve into the passages of the Torah, and we talk about it. We try to understand the perspective of what the Torah, the message of the Torah is trying to say to us, to each and every single one of us as individuals. If you're interested in having any of the classes sponsored in honor of a birthday that's coming up, an anniversary, or a yard site, or just because, you can go on jewishacademy.com, you can go on chabadconejo.com/sponsor, and there you will have the ability to select whichever week you'd like to sponsor for a contribution of $54. So if you go chabadconejo.com/sponsor, you can pick whichever week. I would like to announce today's sponsors. Jeff and Lori Goldshin are sponsoring today's class, and they're doing so in honor of us starting our 30th year of study together of our Chumash study group. So thank you very much, Jeff and Lori. I do want to announce that tonight, this evening at 7 o'clock, Alan Dershowitz is going to be speaking our kickoff lecture for the fall semester. He's going to be speaking on the subject of anti-Semitism in the United States, abroad, and in Israel. That lecture will be at 7 p.m. Pacific time. I am aware, a little birdie told me that the Los Angeles Dodgers are in a World Series game and maybe still playing at 7 o'clock. Well, chances are it'll be probably about the 5th or 6th inning at that time. And there's a good chance the Dodgers will have a strong enough lead that it's okay if you miss a few innings and join us on Zoom for Alan Dershowitz's kickoff lecture. If you're interested in participating in the lecture this evening, simply go to jewishacademy.com, register. Once you register, you'll be getting the link and the passcode in order to join. If you have questions that you'd like Alan to address during his talk, you're able to submit them on the lecture. There'll be a chat where you're able to send in the questions, and the moderator will ask Alan some of the questions that are coming in. One additional note, and we'll get started right away with some text. Zoom has made some changes in the last few weeks, and that it now requires a passcode. If you use the direct link to get in, it usually has the passcode embedded in it. But if you're ever asked for a passcode to get into any of our classes, just remember, it's easy to remember. The word is Chabad, Chabad. That will be the passcode to all of our courses and classes that we're offering. So in case you're ever asked, please just remember, put in Chabad. We studied last year chapter 9 of the book of Deuteronomy. So I'm going to briefly read over chapter 9 for you, and then we'll start the first 2 verses of chapter 10, which is where our semester this year will take us. So our review of chapter 9 is going to be quick. We're just going to read through the text. You have it up on your screen. And then we'll right away get into chapter 10 and discuss the first 2 verses that will be the focus of today. Chapter 9, let me set the scene for you. This is Moses. Moses is speaking. It's the final speech of his life to the Jewish people. He's summarizing for them 40 years of a journey in the wilderness, for 40 years of his leadership. And he is selecting particular times of those past 40 years to focus on and deliver a message to the Jewish people. It's a message not just to those that are alive at that time, standing on the banks of the Jordan River, about to enter into the promised land, but it's really the mission statement that Moses is delivering to each and every single Jew of history. He's talking to us. He's talking to each and every single one of us. And he's focusing on this mission. What does it mean to be a member of the chosen people? Why the world needs a chosen people? Why a chosen people is to bring blessings to all the families on the face of the earth, and how indeed will a chosen people survive thousands of years of what the world will throw at it. Hear, O Israel, verse 1 said, today you are crossing the Jordan to come and to possess nations greater and stronger than you, great cities fortified up to the heavens, a great and tall people, the children of the Anakim, who you know and of whom you have heard said, who can stand against the children of Anak? You shall know this day that it is the Lord your God who passes over before you as a consuming fire. Hannah, if you want to move the screen, thank you. He will destroy them, and he will subdue them before you, and you shall drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord spoke to you. Do not say to yourself, when the Lord your God has repelled them from before you, saying, because of my righteousness, the Lord has brought me to possess this land, and that because of the wickedness of these nations, the Lord drives them out before you. Number 5, not because of your righteousness or because of the honesty of your heart do you come to possess their land, but because of the wickedness of this nation, the Lord your God drives them from out before you, and in order to establish the matter that the Lord swore to your forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So this land was promised to the patriarchs to be given as a gift to their descendants, and God is saying, that is why I'm giving it to you. I'm fulfilling a promise, a covenant I made with them. But that covenant also comes along with what I need from you. Verse 6. You shall know that not because of your righteousness the Lord your God gives you this good land to possess it, for you are a stiff-necked people. You haven't always been good over the past 40 years, and chances are you're not always going to be good over the next few thousand years. Remember, do not forget how you angered the Lord your God in the desert from the day you went out of the land of Egypt until you came to this place. You have been rebelling against the Lord. It hasn't been this beautiful honeymoon all these 40 years. At Horeb, you angered the Lord, and the Lord was incensed with you to destroy you. When I ascended the mountain to receive the stone tablets, so he's referring to right after the revelation at Sinai. He climbs the mountain to get the stone tablets, the tablets of the covenant which the Lord made with you. I remained on the mountain for 40 days and for 40 nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water. And the Lord gave me 2 stone tablets, inscribed by the finger of God. And on them was inscribed according to all the words that the Lord spoke with you on the mountain from the midst of the fire on the day of the assembly. And it came to pass at the end of the 40 days and 40 nights that the Lord gave me 2 stone tablets, the tablets of the covenant. And the Lord said to me, arise, descend quickly from here, for your people whom you have brought out of Egypt have become corrupt. They have quickly deviated from the way which I commanded them. They have made for themselves a molten image. And the Lord spoke to me further, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Leave me alone, God is saying to Moses, and I will destroy them and obliterate their name from beneath the heavens, and I will make you into a nation mightier and more numerous than they. So I turned and came down the mountain, and the mountain was burning with fire, and the 2 tablets of the covenant were on my 2 hands. And I saw, and behold, you had sinned against the Lord your God. You had made yourselves a molten calf. You had deviated quickly from the way which the Lord had commanded you. And so I grasped the 2 tablets, and I cast them out of my 2 hands, and I shattered them before your eyes. And I fell down before the Lord as before. 40 days and 40 nights I neither ate bread nor drank water, because of all your sins you had committed by doing evil in the eyes of the Lord to anger him. For I was frightened of the wrath and the fury that the Lord was angry with you to destroy you. And the Lord hearkened to me also at that time. And with Aaron, the Lord was very furious to destroy him. So I prayed also for Aaron at the time. And I took your sin, the calf, which you had made, and I burned it with fire, and I crushed it, grinding it well until it was fine dust. And I cast its dust to the brook that descends from the mountain. And at Taveira, and at Massa, and at Kivrot Ataiva, you provoked the Lord to anger. And the Lord sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, go up and possess the land I have given you. You defied the word of the Lord your God, and you did not believe him, nor did you obey him. You have been rebelling against the Lord since the day I became acquainted with you. That's a powerful verse 24. Since we met, this is all I've been dealing with. One rebellion after the next. So I fell down before the Lord the 40 days and 40 nights that I had fallen down, because the Lord had said to destroy you. And I prayed to the Lord, and I said, O Lord God, do not destroy your people and your inheritance, which you have redeemed in your greatness, and which you have brought out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do not turn to the stubbornness of this people, to their wickedness, or to their sin, lest the people of the land from which you brought us out will say, because of the Lord's inability to bring them to the land about which he spoke to them, and because of his hatred towards them, he brought them out to slay them in the desert. But they are your people and your inheritance, which you brought out with your great strength and with your outstretched arm. We spent a year studying that chapter. So many of those classes are available to see on YouTube. We're going to move on now to chapter 10. That sets the scene for you, for those of you that are new. So we're focusing on the sin of the golden calf, Moses destroying the first set of tablets. And now chapter 10 says, at that time, the Lord said to me, you for yourself 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and come up to me onto the mountain and make for yourself a wooden ark. And I shall inscribe on the tablets the words that were upon the first tablets, which you shattered, and you shall place them in the ark. So Moses has to prepare now another set of tablets to complete the process of forgiveness and to reinstate the covenant established at Sinai. A second set of tablets is going to be given to him. Moses will now make his third journey up the mountain. The first was the first time after Sinai. The second was 40 days for forgiveness. And the third is now coming up with prepared stone for God to inscribe on it the same 10 commandments that were on the first ones that Moses shattered. And he shattered it because of the sin of the golden calf. Now, whereas the first set of tablets, the Torah described as tablets prepared by God himself. So when Moses climbs the mountain the very first time, he doesn't have stone in his hand. He's not carrying stone. He's actually given the set of tablets that God himself prepares, which is something that we don't find in the Torah, that within heaven there's something physical. It's the only exception. We're in the heavenly world where Moses is embraced by the divine presence. God there will give him a set of stone tablets. Those would be the tablets that Moses broke. These tablets, the second set of tablets that we're talking about today, they were prepared by Moses, just the stone, not the writing. God will write on the stone that Moses is bringing up. But Moses carries up the mountain a set of tablets that God asked him to prepare. And God says he will write on it the same 10 commandments that were on the first. Now, one could reach the conclusion that this represented, therefore, a lower level set of tablets. If the first set of tablets were divine, prepared by God himself, God's handiwork, and these are described as man's handiwork, Moses prepares them, one could reach the logical conclusion that the first set of tablets were loftier, they were holier than the second set of tablets. And we lost the first set of tablets because of our sin, so we needed to settle for the second, less holy ones. Nevertheless, what I would like to focus on today is that there can also be an element, a pathway, an understanding that the second set of tablets has an advantage over the first. Now, it makes sense that Moses would have to prepare the second set of tablets because you broke it. You need to make the first move. You need to repair. But let's look at what the second set of tablets represents. It represents reestablishing a relationship. It's noteworthy that this relationship that we're talking about, the tablets and the covenant, is a relationship that has godly law involved. And what is important and can't be stressed enough, especially in our generation, is that even though there's going to be forgiveness, the law didn't change. Remember, I said what changes is that Moses prepares the tablets, and the second time, God prepared the tablets the first time. But what was written on the tablets, both were exactly the same. The law didn't change. It's the people that had to change. Godly law remains the same. We don't compromise on the law to fit a weakened people. We can say maybe it's too hard. How can we keep all the commandments? Let's make it easier. No, it doesn't work that way. We need to climb the mountain. We need to come back to the law. The law doesn't reduce itself. The Torah could be insulted. The Torah could be lonely. It could be hurting when it sees its people given a chance to follow its commandments, choose to ignore it, choose to violate it. But it won't compromise on its principles. Why? Because Torah represents truth, emes. And truth never compromises to falsehood. What can truth do? What can Torah do? What can law do? It can show patience. It can show mercy. It can show compassion, but it doesn't change. It could wait until we come to our senses, until our souls get ignited, and somehow miraculously we come back to it. We embrace it. We make it part of our lives. And therefore, there's room to make the case that although clearly a set of tablets that God prepared is far holier than a set prepared by Moses, the second set could be more significant and could be more meaningful. It's the second set that demonstrates the strength of the relationship itself. Think about it this way. You have a wedding band. It has meaning. It has value. It brings about memories. There's significance to it. But if the couple was to be separated and then went through marriage counseling, and then they come back together and they renew their vows, and there is a second ring, it may lack the significance of the first vow, but it has the symbolism of the renewed relationship. We struggled, we worked it through, and we're back together again. The second set of tablets taught us the power of the return. It's the power of repentance. It's the power of teshuvah, the power of overcoming the gulf of separation. It's the power of marriage counseling. It's the power of working through our difficulties, of investing ourselves beyond our temptations, beyond our fantasies, and doing what is right over what feels good temporarily. So if the second set of tablets had this added dimension, couldn't God have prepared the stones himself? Why does God have to say, Moses, you prepare it this time? And the answer is that the symbolism of man preparing the tablets is the message itself. It's the power of the message that man needed to make the first move. The Talmud teaches us that God says to us, open up your heart and soul, the size of the eye of the needle for me, and I'll open it up the size that an elephant could fit through. You do yours, and I'll continue from there. You prepare the stone, and I'll take over from there. Now, Chassidus explains to us, the Chassidic teachings explain that there are two types of spiritual awakenings. The first awakening is what we call an arousal from above. You suddenly feel a spiritual awakening, and you don't know why. You can't really explain it. You just feel spiritual. Something triggered within you, a feeling of spirituality, or this drive to somehow get connected to your soul. It's a yearning, it's a thirst. Some of us understand what this sudden calling is all about, and they seek spiritual guidance. They're sensing something is lacking and I need spirituality. And they find their way to a place of learning, a place of spirituality, a place of prayer perhaps. But for some, this reaction to this sudden arousal that comes into the individual, this sudden feeling of this void, can take on a different turn. And we start feeling something is wrong in our lives and we can't place it. Perhaps I'm not earning enough money. Perhaps if I was wealthier, I would be happier. And so we get wealthier and we work harder and we still feel the same. And so perhaps I need to take on a hobby. Perhaps I'll take on karate. I'll take on yoga. I'll take this on. When we start going through everything that I may bring me happiness and fulfillment, acting, singing, gambling, sports car collections, and as excited as we get at first, somehow the excitement wears off and we're left right where we started. You've heard me perhaps tell the story of the stone cutter. It's a simple parable. I'll repeat it for the benefit of those that didn't hear it. There was this fellow that worked hard. He was a stone cutter. He would be up there on the mountaintop and hacking away on the stone. And it was hard. It was a hard job. And he looks down in the valley one time and he sees a king is walking in the valley, but he has these meshorsim, those that are taking care of him, his staff all around him, giving him water to drink, giving him something to eat whenever he wants. When he's tired, they put him on a throne and they carry the throne. And he's feeling all jealous. How come the king has such a type of life? And I'm working here so hard and it's such a difficult life. I wish I was the king. And as soon as those words came out of his lips, I wish I was the king, poof, he became the king. And there he is. He's on this chair being carried, given water, given lemonade, given whatever it is that he wants. But every once in a while, that sun bakes on him, even though he's the king. And even though they have fans, the rays of the sun are so strong and it disturbs him. And he says, it's not fair. I wish I was the sun because it has such power that it can even make a king uncomfortable. And suddenly he became the sun. And he's all strong and he's all powerful. But then clouds came and blocked the sun. And he said, wow, if clouds can block the sun, I wish I was the clouds. And he became the clouds. And then a wind came and started blowing the clouds. Well, if the wind is more powerful than the clouds and the clouds can block the sun and the sun could bake on the king, I wish I was the wind. And he became the wind. And then the wind hit this big mountain and couldn't budge the mountain. So he wished he was the mountain. And now he's the all-powerful mountain that blocked the wind, that blew away the clouds, that blocked the sun, that baked on the king. And suddenly he feels the knocking of a hammer on his mountain. It's a stone cutter. Wow, the stone cutter has even more power than the mountain. I wish I was the stone cutter. And he opened his eyes. And lo and behold, he was the stone cutter. It's time we look in the mirror, for we will find that the answers that we seek has really been before us all the time. We don't have to go looking for everything out there to find the happiness because it's always right there. It's always been right there. The answer lies within your soul, within your spirit. What we need to learn is how to connect with it, how to connect with our soul. That's the journey of the Jew, the journey of our soul. Our soul yearns for spirituality. Our soul yearns for holiness. And we keep feeding it other things, not realizing what it really yearns for. This comes from this sudden arousal that comes within our soul. I need. We struggle with this void and we struggle with this emptiness because we're not sure where it comes from. It says, I've read that we Jews make up 55% of all therapists in the world. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I read. And you think that's amazing? We probably make up 98% of all the patients going to therapy. There were these three mothers, and they were bragging. They were bragging about their son's love for them. And one says, my son loves me so much. For my birthday, he brought me a brand new Tesla. Wow. The other mom says, that's nothing. My son, for my birthday, he bought me a cruise around the world. And not just that, he allowed me to pick 5 other friends to bring along with me. Wow. The other woman says, that's nothing. My son goes 3 times a week to a therapist, to the top therapist in the state. And all he does every single session, he talks about me. We make up a disproportionate percentage of all cult members. Do you know that? Of all the cults that are out there, we make up such a high percentage of those that are looking for cults because they're searching, they're yearning, they're trying to find something. And they don't realize it's right in front of them. It's right there. This woman decides she wants to visit the holy Maharishi Baba Ganoush. And she travels to India. And she takes a taxi 90 miles until she reaches the outskirts of town. And she's told that from that point forward, she can only travel by camel to see the holy Maharishi Baba Ganoush. So she takes a camel ride for 3 days until she reaches the outskirts of a hidden settlement. The camel is not allowed to enter into the settlement. From this point forward, you have to walk the rest of the way. And so she walks for hours until she arrives at the camp. And she asks, how can I see the holy Maharishi Baba Ganoush? And they say, you can't just see him without preparation. You need to meditate for a week. And after you meditate for a week, you have to fast for 3 days. And only then can you enter. And so she meditates for a week and she fasts for 3 days. And finally her time comes and she enters his tent. She removes her shoes and she sees the holy Maharishi sitting on the floor, his hands clasped together. And she looks at the Maharishi Baba Ganoush straight in the eye and she says, Sheldon, come home. Why is this so? Why is this so? Because we seek by nature. We are seekers. We yearn. Our spirit, our soul doesn't let us rest. We were prepared for this generation. The prophet Amos told us, Hine yamim ba'im, behold, days will come. He speaks about the future, but I think he's speaking about today. Ne'um Hashem Elokim, says the Lord your God. V'hishalachti ra'av ba'aretz. Says the prophet, God says to him that the day will come that I will send a famine in the land. Lo ra'av lalechem. It will not be a hunger for bread. V'lo tzama lamayim, nor will it be a thirst for water. Ki im lishmoa es divrei Elokim. It will be a thirst to hear the word of God. The prophet talks of a time that there will be plenty, that there will be no shortages of food, that you will have what you need, and yet you will not be content. You will not find satisfaction. You will not find fulfillment, for you will struggle to find meaning in your lives. We live in the most advanced generation known to man since the days of creation. We live in a free country where there is indeed plenty. There are no food shortages. Thank God we all ate something today. And if not, we'll eat something soon. This couldn't be said in all prior generations. Our forefathers, our grandparents, our great-grandparents literally starved. They lived in periods of time of hunger, real hunger. Our parents and our grandparents and our great-grandparents, they knew war firsthand. I'm sure you have a bubby or a zaidi or perhaps a father or mother that were able to tell you what it was like to live through a war or to battle in a war. They knew the pain and horrible consequences war brought upon lives. I remember my father speaking about being in bomb shelters so much of his early life. Our very existence as a people was threatened in a war known to the world as World War II, but remembered by us more as the period of the Holocaust. And yet just 70 years later, our children are growing up today and Baruch Hashem have never heard the sounds of bombs blasting and gunfire disturbing the night. We lived through a miraculous period of time when the walls of communism collapsed, not due to nuclear missiles, and without any bloodshed, without any war. We witnessed in our lifetime freedom breaking out all over the world, in continents all over the world. And yet the prophet Amos tells us that with all of the wealth and all of the blessings, there will be a void, an emptiness. V'hishalachti rov ba'aretz, there will be a famine in the land, a famine for purpose, a famine for fulfillment. And that's what we witness so often today, a thirst for spirituality, a thirst for holiness. Perhaps it's because we're the first generation that has had time on our hands. We no longer need to work 18 hours a day to put food on our table. Perhaps this time, this free time, leaves us with endless possibilities and choices, and we can't seem to make the right choices. We may buy more today, but we enjoy less. See, we've learned how to make a living, but we haven't learned how to make a life. We've added years to life, but not life to years. And the answer, my friends, it's not blowing in the wind. It's right here. It's the Torah. It's the book of Deuteronomy. It's the book of Genesis. It's the book of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers. And it's in you. It's in your very soul. That's where the answer is. You've been sent into this world with a mission, to be a light unto the nations, to be a member of the chosen people. How does God want us to go ahead and be this light? For this, we have a mission outline, a manual, an instruction booklet that tells us point by point what we should do. And until we get on that bandwagon, even if it's just a little bit, and to begin to fulfill that mission, our soul will just not be satisfied. Our soul won't let us rest, and it will cry out to you in so many ways, for it's lacking its calling. Another story I tell quite often is the story of Itzik of Minsk. Itzik was this poor fellow, and as much as he tried to make a living, he struggled to make a living. And one night, Itzik has a dream. And in his dream, an angel calls out to him and says, Itzik, the times of your poverty is over. It's time for you, Itzik, to be a wealthy man. But this is what you need to do. You need to go to the city of Minsk. To Pinsk. You live in Minsk, you have to go to Pinsk. In Pinsk, you will find the bridge. When you pass the bridge, you are to count a certain amount of measurement. And there you will see a large tree. You are to dig next to the foot of that tree, and you will find a treasure prepared for you. You will take home that treasure. You're not going to be poor anymore. Itzik wakes up. It's just a dream. The next night he goes to sleep. Again, he has a dream. Itzik, the time of your being poor is over. There's a treasure waiting for you, but you need to travel to Pinsk. You need to cross the bridge. You need to look for the tree. You need to dig near the tree. You will find a treasure prepared for you. Third night, the same dream. He keeps having the same dream until he says, you know what? I got to see if this tree exists. And so he tells his wife, I'll be gone for a few days. And he travels to Pinsk. And sure enough, as he saw in his dream, there's a bridge. And as he passes the bridge and he goes a certain amount of meters, there is the large tree exactly as he saw in his dream. My goodness. He takes out a shovel and he starts digging right next to the tree. In the meantime, one of the security guards that work by the bridge see this fellow digging next to a tree, comes running over to him and he says, what do you think you're doing? You can't just start digging here in public land. What gives you the right to dig? Itzik says, I'm going to be honest with you. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but I've been having this dream. And the dream has not just been one time, 2 times, 3 times. The dream is coming back to me every night, and it showed me exactly this spot that I need to come here and I need to dig, and there's a treasure waiting for me. The guard says, you silly, silly Jew. You know, I have dreams too. You know, I have a dream, and I have it also every single night, that there's a fellow that lives in Minsk, and his name is Itzik. And Itzik lives in a poor cottage. And in this dream, I'm told I need to go to Itzik's house. I need to pull away the oven. I need to dig right under the oven, that there's a treasure waiting for me. Do you think I'm crazy enough to travel to Minsk, to find an Itzik, to find Itzik's house, to move away an oven and start digging? No, it's a dream. I ignore it. Itzik hears the fellow that he just met. that this particular tree right after the bridge in the city of Minsk has a dream, and that he's part of the dream, and that the treasure really is in his own house under the oven. He comes running home. He tells his wife, just don't look what I'm doing. You're not going to like it, but trust me, there's a treasure here in our own house. He moves away the oven. He starts digging there, and sure enough, he finds a treasure. That's the story of Itzik of Minsk. Because we do that. We travel all over the world to find our happiness. And we start digging here and digging there and digging everywhere, only to find out that it's been in our own home all along. It's right there in our own home. The treasure has been there all along. We just didn't know where to look. This is all what we call, in Hasidic terminology, Isarusa de La'ela. It's an awakening that comes from above. It's a signal. It's this homing signal that somehow reaches to our soul and sends out a message to us, to our consciousness, that we need to search, that we need to find. That's one path. But there's a second path. And the second path is called Isarusa Dilitata, translated, an awakening that is self-motivating. It doesn't come from any feeling of void. It doesn't come from any emptiness. You're in fact happy. You're content. Everything is fine. But you on your own, with your own logic, with your own intellect, you decide, I want to learn more. I want to attend services. I want to understand what the Torah is trying to say to me. You're willing on your own to open your mind to seeing where the discussion will lead. Not because anyone's forcing you, not because it's going to make Bubby or Zadie proud, not because your own soul is feeling a sense of void. It's just something you want. You know, people often ask us, is Judaism a blind faith? You've ever heard the expression blind faith? And the answer is no. We're intelligent people. It's not blind. It's an intelligent religion. It's a very intelligent Torah. It's a very, very intelligent Talmud. Try studying it. It's as brilliant as anything law school can throw at you, and 20 times more. It's a code of Jewish law that has established a code of civil conduct way before societies had codes of moral conduct and equality. What's taking place in this scenario is the person themselves are seeking God. They're trying to find God, searching for him, moving closer to him, not because of an emptiness, not because of a void, not because God's even sending signals, but because of self-awareness, homegrown self-awareness. There's this story that I read in one of Rabbi Bryski's book, I believe, of a secular Jewish woman. She was at a rabbi's home for a Shabbos meal. And she came away a changed person, totally changed, and she moved herself more into Jewish observance. And she was asked, what affected you so strongly? How did that Friday night dinner have such an impact on you, such an impression that you're willing to make changes in your life? What did the rabbi say at the table? Or was it the singing? Was it the family sitting together? Or was the food that good that you decided you want this to become part of your lifestyle? And she said, the rabbi, it was nice, but it didn't impress me. The singing was beautiful. The family was cute, but that's not what did it for me. So what was it? It was the amount of candles. You see, in many homes, we light one additional candle for each child of the family. And as I watched the mother light the candles for her family, it dawned on me, each one of her children matter. They each count. They're crucial. And they represent light in the world. And I realized that Judaism was a religion in which I mattered. I counted. My light was needed. You see, there are tablets that come from above, the first set of tablets. They're heavenly prepared. They're heavenly aroused. And then there is a self-made awakening. We prepare the tablets. And when we make the move to him, God stretches forth his hands and he writes his words on our tablets. He engraves his wisdom on our minds. He accepts our reaching out our hands to him, and he reaches back to us. In this way, the second tablets could be viewed as something even more special than the first, for it involved man making the first move. There's a commentary that explains that had we merited to keep the first set of tablets, Torah study and understanding would have been easy and come with little effort or struggle. After all, it was the handiwork of God and thus could not be affected by physical limitations. It would come with ease, with comfort. Everything would be naturally understood. The second set of tablets coming through man came along with the need to struggle to understand, the need for concentration, with physical struggles, with obstacles. These are all physical and human complications that could only have affected the second set of tablets, being that they were partially created by a human. And even with this commentary, one can make the case that that second set of tablets still has an added value for this exact reason, because it demands our effort, our toil, and thus it can be far more rewarding. You know, there's an individual that inherits a large sum of money, and that is great. And then there are those that go out and earn it. And they feel a lot more satisfied, a lot more rewarded for the fact that they put in the effort. They earned this. And Moses, as we read in chapter 10, verse 1 and verse 2, is instructed by God to go ahead and carve out these two tablets. He prepares them, and he gets up early in the morning, and he begins his trek back up the mountain with the two tablets in his hand. And the cloud will descend upon the top of the mountain, and it will envelop Moshe. The Medrash says that the cloud served as a protection of Moses. Protection from whom? Who's going to be there on the top of the mountain to harm him? Says the Medrash, protection from the angels. The angels? Why would the angels want to harm Moses? The angels were jealous of Moses because here we are in the heavenly world all day, and we never sin, and we have no sinful inclinations, and we serve God eternally, and yet we never merited such closeness. So in order to protect Moses from the nasty looks of the angels, from the jealousy of the angels, God protects him by placing him inside this cloud. And the Medrash, therefore, is teaching us that the human being can climb to a higher level even than the angel. It's because we have inclinations, because we can sin, because we can make golden calves, and we can eat from a tree of knowledge of good and evil, that makes our challenge that much greater, and thus our accomplishments even more special and even more holy. That even holy angels can be jealous, because there can be jealousy of holiness, not an emotional jealousy of ego, but one of intellectual jealousy of levels of holiness and spirituality. And for this, Moses climbs the mountain to receive the second set of tablets and to bring about the total forgiveness from God of the Jewish people for the sin of the golden calf. Thank you all for joining me. Hope to see you all next Wednesday, 12:30, or any of our Academy classes and programs throughout the week. Remember to visit jewishacademy.com, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much for joining me.